What's going on, everybody? And I hope you're enjoying your Hump Day Wednesday morning so far. This is NYG Jeffy T85 here, and I have an injury update around New York Mets outfielder Brandon Nimmo. Now, we all know what happened to Nimmo a couple of nights ago when he slid into second base, and he ended up having to leave the game after spraining his right ankle and his right knee. And at first, it looked like that it could have been a very, very severe injury, and that Nimmo would at least be missing the beginning of the MLB season that's upcoming soon. Well, we got some positive news, really positive news, in what has been a very injury-riddled and tough start to the New York Mets spring training, and then obviously getting towards the beginning of the season that starts next week. Mets outfielder Brandon Nimmo, according to Anthony DiComo of SNY.com, is slated and has been running, fielding, and doing drills in the outfield for the past couple of days. And he is going to try and push to see if he can play the last couple of games of spring training, and he still expects to be ready by the beginning of the Major League Baseball season next week. This is excellent news. In what has been an absolutely tough, injury-riddled spring training so far, and World Baseball Classic injury news for the Mets. Obviously, the Diaz news. He's out for the season with a torn patella tendon. You have Coonrod, who's going to be out for some time due to injury. Quintana's going to be out until July, maybe August, with the lesion that was found on his rib during and he had surgery. Brooks Raley's been banged up with a hamstring injury. You had David Peterson had a minor injury. I mean, the Mets have been banged up all over the place on this baseball team, not even before the season begins. But this is the best positive news that you can get for the Mets in terms of their everyday players. That it looks like, barring any setbacks, Brandon Nimmo sounds like he's going to be ready to go by the beginning of the Major League Baseball season for the Mets. And that's great news because we all know as Mets fans and everybody that watches this kid, he's the engine of this baseball team. He's the guy that gets it going. He's the guy that starts up this Mets offense and gets on base along with Marte for Jeff McNeil, for Francisco Lindor, for Pete Alonso, for Eduardo Escobar, for the big time boppers in the middle of this lineup. You can get Brandon Nimmo back on the field. This is going to be huge for this Mets team. This is good news. This is really good news. And what looked like and was feared to be a major injury for one of the Mets' key players, and you could argue Brandon Nimmo is one of the 5 most indispensable New York Mets players on this team. Now you're going to get Nimmo back, looks like, by the beginning of this season, and that he's aiming to play the last couple of games in spring training at Port St. Lucie for the New York Mets, and that he's aiming to get back on the baseball diamond by the beginning of the season. If you're a Mets fan, that should make you feel a whole lot better in what's been, like I mentioned, a very, very, very difficult New York Mets spring training and World Baseball Classic in terms of injuries. And by the way, congratulations to Team Japan for winning the World Baseball Classic last night against the United States 3-2. One of the coolest things seeing, and the whole coolest images, is watching teammates Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout go at it in the last at bat of the World Baseball Classic, and seeing Ohtani blow away Trout with a fastball. That was pretty cool. But getting back to the Mets, it's utter important that the Mets could not lose somebody like Nimmo for the beginning of the season, especially the fact you already lost your closer, you're already going to be missing one of your key bullpen guys, and you're going to be missing 1/5 of your starting rotation for a good amount of the season. It's good to at least get somebody like Brandon Nimmo, who is feared to be out for some time, back on the baseball diamond, and that he won't have to miss any long-term time with injury. That's very, very, very good and positive news for the Mets. And hopefully there are no setbacks at all with Nimmo, and he's going to be able to start the Major League Baseball season on time, patrolling center field, and helping this New York Mets team get off to another hot start this season like they have previously. And Nimmo is going to be the catalyst, along with Starling Marte, in the lineup, and that would pretty much give the Mets their entire starting lineup going into the beginning of the season. And it would keep McNeil at second. You could figure out who plays third base. I would rather see Brett Baty start at third, but I would not be shocked if the Mets start with Eduardo Escobar, but we'll have to wait and see. But I just want to give you guys that injury update. Brandon Nimmo, according to Anthony DiComo of SNY.com, is been fielding, taking ground balls, fielding, taking batting practice, running on the base pads, and he is aiming right now to not only be ready by the beginning of the Major League Baseball season, but he's aiming to play in the last couple of games for the New York Mets at spring training in Port St. Lucie. Hit that like button if you haven't already, and give a sub to NYG Jeffy T85. More news updates and chatter surrounding the New York Mets. And turn on the bell for notifications on the next video or short dropping on the channel surrounding the New York Mets. And you guys let me know in the comment section what you think about the injury update for Brandon Nimmo. And if you're excited as a New York Mets fan that Nimmo looks to be ready and is aiming to be ready for the beginning of the Major League Baseball season and continue to be the top of the lineup guy for the New York Mets to begin the 2023 Major League Baseball season that will start next week. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope everybody enjoys your Hump Day Wednesday, of course, as always. Take it easy, everyone, and let's go, New York Mets. As always, all you got to do is you got to believe in those boys from Queens.